the next book is so good, so good. It's a brand new favourite for me. So it is the end of June. Like, this month has went by so quick. No idea how we got here. And yes, I'm doing a wrap up video. I've not done one of these for 2 months. I didn't film one at the end of May, just I was going through some personal circumstances. I only read 2 books in May anyway. And yeah, I got in a bit of a reading slump. So I've read only 4 books this month, but I'm pretty happy with that because I read more than May. One of these books 100% is lifted me out of that slump. The Hating Game. We will come to that one later on. But yeah, I'm super excited to speak about these books and hopefully got some recommendations for you. Yeah, so really quickly, in May, the first book I picked up was Crazy Rich Asians, and it's by Kevin Kwan. I had seen this film like a couple of years ago, and I finally decided to pick up the book, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I gave it 4 out of 5. It was a great, light, fun read, which I definitely needed in May. So in this one we have 2 characters. We have, well, more than 2 characters, sorry, 2 main characters. Rachel, and she is from America, and then we have Nicholas, who is from Singapore. She agrees to go with him and spend summer in Singapore. Now she is expecting, you know, to him have a nice, humble family. However, Nicholas kind of forgets to mention a few details, like his family is crazy rich, like absolutely crazy rich. She had no idea what she was walking into, and they were there to attend a family's wedding, and it's kind of all the drama and everything that ensues this summer at this wedding, how it all comes to the head, etc. Don't want to say any more because I don't want to give you too much information, but it was really fun. There is a second one called China Rich Girlfriend, which I have that one on Kindle, and I'm hoping to get to that one at some point soon, hopefully, because they're really fun for summer. So the next one I read was 31 Bones, and that's by Morgan Cry. This is like, it was like a thriller, not thriller so much, crime kind of book, and it's set in Spain. So again, it was light, it wasn't like heavy, it was fun, it had a good kind of setting. Daniela Colston, her mum passes away, Effie, and she was living in Spain, and she was an expat, had a bar, and lived in this like very, you know, close-knit expat community in Spain. And yes, she was estranged from her mother, but she has to go to Spain to the funeral and kind of deal with them because she's like the only child. What she doesn't know, obviously, is her mum and some of these other expats were basically committing like a property scam and scamming people with their money. However, this money has disappeared, and they want Daniela to give them the money, find where it is, and she is threatened, etc. And it's just her kind of working at this mystery of where the money is, while also kind of dealing with this cast of characters. So yeah, I gave it like a 3 stars. It was really fun, light crime novel with funny moments. And again, it was something that I definitely kind of needed in May. I didn't need anything too serious. So that was the May ones. So now let's get on to June. The first one I picked up was Pride, Prejudice and Other Flavours, and it's by Sonali Dev. I read was it Persuasion? Oh, I can't remember the title of the second one. I read the second one actually in this like kind of romance series of hers back in January. Persuasion and Other Recipes, that's it, that's the name. I read it back February, I think. Audiobook. This again, I've listened to an audiobook, so this is the first one. It follows Trisha, and it's set in America, sorry. It follows Trisha, and she is like this like neurosurgeon, like she's very good in her field, and she's actually the black sheep of the family. And then you have DJ Kane, who is the love interest in this one. He's a chef, and he's met kind of people like Trisha before, you know, judgmental, like judging him on his upbringing, but he really needs this kind of lucrative job that her family need a chef for. And yeah, I mean, he has his pride. Yeah, I mean, it follows, you know, it's that enemies to lovers, the classic Pride and Prejudice, you know, enemies to lovers. And yeah, I enjoyed it. It was fun. I mean, they get off to the wrong start, obviously, and there's lots of like things that are happening, and you know, yeah, it's fun. It's fun. I gave it like a 3.5 again, like the first one that I read, which was the second in this series, not to confuse you or anything. But yeah, no, it was fun. It's what I needed. It took me a while to get through it, but again, it's because I was slumping. I was really, really slumping. But the next book is so good, so good. It's a brand new favourite for me. Brand new favourite. I need to get a physical copy because I read this as an ebook. I need the physical copy. And this is probably going to be one of those books that I'm going to go to whenever I'm in a reading slump, because it's just so good. I want to reread it again. I want to reread it as if I've never read it before, as I experience it for the first time. And that is The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. I mentioned this in my mid-year freakout tag, and it was just perfect. The hate between the characters, the tension, how their story builds, it is just perfect. And the fact that this is going to be a film, I think they already filmed all, or maybe there's a few scenes left, I don't know. I don't know the release date, but Lucy Hale is playing Lucy, and honestly, she's perfect for it. After reading this, she's like the perfect actress, I think, for the job. So it follows, if you haven't read it, because this is a pretty hyped up book, you should do first of all. So we have two main characters. We have our female interest, which is Lucy, and we have Joshua, and they are both executive, like assistants for the heads of this publishing firm, and they sit at a desk opposite each other, and ever since the murder they've had to work next to each other, and they hate each other. They hate each other. They're always like playing games, like try to like one up the other. Yeah, they just don't get on. And then the opportunity comes up for a new position to be created. It's a promotion, and they obviously are both applying for it, and whoever gets it is actually going to be the boss of the other one. So it's like a fierce competition. However, you know, things start to change, and I don't want to say anything more because I don't want to ruin it for you, but it is perfect. And like I said, my mid-year freakout tag, if you only read one romance book this year, let it be The Hating Game, because it is just perfect. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to stop speaking about it because I could spit into like absolute ages telling you how good it is, but I'm going to stop there. 5 stars, all-time new favourite, recommend. Then the next one I read, completely different genre. So this is like a literary thriller, like psychological thriller. It's a bit of a slow thriller, slow burn, and that is The Silent Listener, and that's by Lynn Ewart. Now this one I actually got as an ARC from NetGalley. I wanted to start to use NetGalley, so I'm reading some of their Read Now selections. This came out on the 24th of June in the UK, and yeah, I mean, it's dark, it's mysterious, it is tense. Like I said, it is a slow burn, but despite it being a slow burn, it really pulled me in from the first page. It really just pulled me in with the story. So this is a debut novel actually, and it is set in Australia, and rural farming Australia. It is like an isolated setting. What I really liked about this is I do like a good isolated setting, but usually they're always cold settings for the isolated ones. I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but the majority of thrillers, it's always cold, at least the ones I've read. So it was nice that it wasn't in a cold setting for once. But yeah, like it's literally suspense, thriller, dark, mysterious vibes. So it follows our main character, Joy, and you have 3 different timelines. So it actually opens up in the 1980s timeline when she's an adult and she has come back to the farm to take care of her sick, dying father. And you have flashbacks to these other timelines, but when she gets back to the farm, her perfect sister who can do no wrong, Ruth, is there, which is a shock and a surprise, but she's there urging words of revenge. And then you have flashbacks to the 1960s when Joy is like 11, 12. And you have obviously her sister Ruth, her father, her mother, and she also has a brother called Mark. And you see how her relationship with her family is, how her childhood is. You see it through the innocent eyes of a child. Her father was very abusive, and you see that. But the author doesn't get too graphic on those details. So you see how it starts and how it builds and how it shapes her mental, not how she feels physically, but also mentally, and it kind of shapes it. So you're having that flashback between the two, the 80s and the 60s, but then also flashes back to the 1940s when her parents met and the beginnings of their marriage, and how it didn't end up being the perfect marriage that Gwen, the mother, thought it would turn out to be. And you also see how she ends up having to deal and cope with how things happen and how the father George is. Amongst all of this, in the 1980s when the father dies, the police are investigating. They think he was potentially murdered, so they're investigating that. But also intertwined in the 1960s, there's this mystery of when Wendy, a little girl, she was like 9, I think, she was a few years younger than Joy, went missing. So it's unraveling two mysteries at once. There are twists in this that you don't see coming. It's beautifully written. Yeah, slow burn, but you are really hooked in there, and I gave this a 4 out of 5. So yeah, if you are comfortable with those trigger warnings, it is a good read. I'd say you have to be in the right frame of mind to read it, just because obviously it does tackle difficult topics. But yes, if you're looking for something, a slow burn, but like beautifully written, and just hooks you in, surprises you some twists and turns, then you should read that one, definitely. And then my final and last book that I read, or finished at least, in June was The Voting Booth, and that's by Brandy Colbert. So I got this from Scribd, and it was on audiobook. I do like to sometimes, so 2 audiobooks this month and 2 actual kind of, well, ebooks, not physical books, but ebooks. And I do like switching my genres up and things. So this is a YA contemporary novel. There are light-hearted moments in it, but there's also some more like serious topics. Yeah, I'd say serious, but not like serious. That makes no sense, but I'll explain myself. So we are following Marva, who is, she's 18, she's ready to vote. For weeks, maybe even months, I can't remember, she's been out there trying to get people registered, because you have the right to vote. This takes place in America, so I don't think I mentioned this. So yeah, she's been very active and getting out there, canvassing, getting people registered, signing up. So she, goes and votes. And then when she's there and she does her vote, there is this guy called Duke. She's never met him. He's also 18. However, he gets turned away. They're saying that he's not registered, there's some sort of issue, and she starts to get involved. They then end up spending the day together, kind of going back and forward, trying to ensure that he is able to execute his right to vote, because he believes he is registered, but maybe he's registered somewhere else, etc. So it's all set in one day, and then it's the building of this relationship between these two strangers, also tackling the issues of voting. There are some, a little bit, like I said, a little bit more serious issues in between, and yeah, it's kind of how things build between them. And yeah, I think it was really nice. I think it's really great that there's a YA book that is obviously tackling things like voting, kind of getting out there that it is your right, you can make a difference, etc. And yes, I thought it was really good. I thought it was a really good audiobook. It was actually had 2 narrators, one for Marva and one for Duke, and I like that when they switch the chapters and you have different narrators. And yes, so that one I just finished this morning, and I think I'm gonna give it a 3.5. I thought it was fun, it was nice, covered some great topics. I'm not like a big YA reader, but I did really enjoy it. And that is it. Those are the 2 books I read in May, and then the 4 books I read in June. And yeah, let me know if you've read any of them, if you agree with me on my opinions. Let me know what you read or what was your favourite book in the month. And yes, thank you. Comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.